I would like to highlight some of the applications which are already on the market, which are currently discussed, and there is an raising awareness campaign from FIA on which is the iMobility, and I think that these awareness raising campaigns are very important, that the users get the information and get the relevant information on what is actually ITS and what the system can do for them. Because a lot of the things which were discussed yesterday are only touching the surface on what they have and what they can do. So ABS what was mentioned yesterday as one of the one ITS solution is actually old, but it includes sensing, processing, and actuating. eCall, another ITS system. We have an event which is sensed, the location is processed and communicated, and then there is an action which responds to actually emergency actions in a faster way. I was very interested at the presentation yesterday when there was mentioning that only 3% of the fatal accidents, of the target accidents, could be helped with eCall. And I would very much like to consider why this is actually the case. Automated emergency braking system. This is, again, another very important topic. If we look at this, and it is fully clear that such a system should not only stop for vehicles, as it is in this picture from Volvo Cars. It shall stop for the vulnerable road user, for the bikes, motorbikes, and for the pedestrians. Efficiency. Efficiency is the second aspect I would like to turn to. Dynamic traffic management is a very important part, and there we have more the system approach on where the ITS can be. If we have a dynamic traffic management system, it again depends on what we sense, what we process, and how we actuate actually the management. Tire pressure monitoring. Again, sensing, processing, and acting. And the last here is the cooperative ACC. Yesterday, a lot of the mentioned system were actually talking about CITS. It's a cooperative ITS, where the communication between the infrastructure and the vehicle is essential to bring in more intelligence. I will come to this point later in my presentation. Green. Well, there are several applications which are important if we look at the greening of road transport. Start-stop assistant, energy-efficient routing. I was wondering actually if the motorcyclists would actually appreciate an energy-efficient routing, but you could tell me. And eco-driving, and those applications are actually very much asked for the users, for not only from the truck user, the professional drivers, but as well from the private passenger car drivers. So the key innovation areas we have defined in CLEPA is the expert task forces, where we discuss how we can bring these sectors forward. And here we highlight, we have the task force for safety and one task force for ITS, and I would like to actually focus on these two, safety and ITS, what we intend when we talk about these. So in safety, actually, there are several aspects which are touching the motorcycle industry and the motorcyclists. One, of course, the vulnerable road user safety. And with looking at this is not only the in-car safety systems where we have to comply with the requirements and needs of the motorcyclists, but as well with the safety system for the motorcyclists in his or her vehicle. We have to recognize human factors and interfaces here. It is, as you can imagine, these interfaces and the human factors are pretty different if we are sitting in a car, if we're riding a bike. These connected vehicle safety applications we were considering are mainly there to support the driver or the rider in an event, in a dangerous, unexpected event. So this is very important. I will come to that part on the automation of road transport later. I think there is a lot of things which are currently discussed, what we see, what we need to do in the future, and these aspects, again, are important for the motorcyclists to be aware of and to be part of that decision making. ITS, we again have the application and the solutions, but we have as well the communication and interfaces to the infrastructure. And we heard yesterday that there are regional differences all over Europe, and that the expectations are different from the drivers, from the riders. But if we look at this, it is clear that we have to comply with European standards. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to ride your motorcycle from Germany to Belgium or to Netherlands if we do not have the same standards for communicating. So this is important. And again, the automated driving, which is part of the future vision, where we can come from the connected vehicles to the cooperative vehicles to a semi, partially, or highly automated transport system. So, cooperative systems, or what we call it, the CITS. So we are heavily relying on the communication between the driver, the vehicle, and the infrastructure. And this communication enables an even higher level of intelligence in the system. So we can think that we have sensors in the infrastructure, we have sensors in the vehicle, we have the user informed through appropriate interfaces, and we can help and support, enable future applications. So safe, smart, and environmental friendly, those applications are what we look at when we think about the vehicle-to-infrastructure, the vehicle-to-vehicle communication. These communication technologies are seen not only in Europe, but in US, Japan, and all the world as one of the stepping stones to higher levels of automation in road transport. Still, there is one challenge we have to face. How can we effectively increase the system availability to initiate large-scale deployment? So when we look around in Europe, we do not often have the ability to communicate with our vehicles because there aren't so many on the road. But this is another challenge we have to face. There is a transition phase with equipped vehicles and non-equipped vehicles. And we have to address this. We have to know how can we comply with the requirements of those who are already communicating with the infrastructure and with other vehicles, and those who are not. So when we look at this, we have to see how we can increase the market penetration with interoperable communication units. So again, this is a European perspective. We have to face it on a European level. We have to ensure safety, reliability, and privacy and security. The customer, the citizen, is in the middle of all these. We respect the privacy, and the security is one of the aspects. We do not want that these things are hijacked. We do not want that a safety application is actually misused for another purpose. And we have to enable broad connectivity and ITS services. The last point here is very important. We have to recognize the customer expectation and the user acceptance. If the CITS, if the cooperative ITS is actually not appealing, interesting, or complying with the expectations of the users, we will not be able to effectively deploy CITS. Not in Europe, not in US, not in Japan. So this is important. So we think when we look at the system availability, we need to increase the market share of connected and communicating vehicles through an advanced in-vehicle platform architecture. We see that the connected vehicles is an evolution towards the cooperative vehicles, where we have actually a larger part in the system communicating and sharing information and acting in a safe and reliable way. And we see this as one stepping stone to a higher level of automation in road transport. I would like to end with some of the conclusions. If you look at these slides, which are, let's say, car-centric, can we just exchange the pictures and put the motorcycle there? I guess not. I think it is important to understand where we have the difference, and when we talk about CITS, about cooperative ITS, what is actually in it for the motorcyclists, for the vulnerable road users, and where do we have to respect their needs and the requirements in terms of active safety functionality in vehicles, in cars, and on the motorcycle. We have to look at these advanced platforms which are developed to see that they are able to actually embrace a wide range of applications to be able to support these deployment, large-scale deployment of connected, communicated road users. We have to recognize the human factors and interfaces, and we have to recognize what customer awareness and what actually an informed user makes a better intelligent transport system. Yeah, with that, I would like to thank you for your kind attention and would be available for some questions.